In New York City, John Wick is preparing for war. After being declared excommunicado by the High Table, he has nowhere to go but down. Hiding underground with the Bowery King, John plots his revenge against the shadowy organization that controls the world. His target? The Elder, the highest-ranking figure in the High Table. John doesn't waste time. He heads to the scorching deserts of Morocco, where he confronts the Elder face to face. The Elder offers John a chance to surrender, to kneel and live. But John Wick doesn't kneel. He pulls the trigger, killing the Elder and sending a shockwave through the High Table's ranks. The message is clear: no one is untouchable. The High Table retaliates swiftly. Enter the Marquis Vincent, a man with limitless resources and a ruthless determination to end John Wick once and for all. The Marquis makes his first move by summoning Winston, the manager of the New York Continental Hotel, and Sharon, his loyal concierge. Furious that Winston failed to kill John in the past, the Marquis delivers a brutal punishment. He declares Winston excommunicated, destroys the Continental in a fiery explosion, and, as the final blow, executes Sharon in cold blood. Winston is left broken, but the Marquis isn't done. With his sights set on John, he sends out an army of assassins and enlists one of the deadliest killers in the game, Kane, a blind but lethal former assassin. Kane has left the life behind, but the Marquis threatens his daughter, forcing him to take the job. His mission? Kill John Wick. John finds refuge in Osaka at the Continental managed by his old friend, Shimazu Koji. But peace doesn't last long. The Marquis' assassins, led by Kane and his brutal right-hand man Chitty, descend on the hotel. What follows is absolute chaos. Neon lights flood the screen as bullets and swords collide in a dazzling and deadly showdown. John fights through waves of armored killers, delivering headshots and takedowns with his signature precision. Amid the chaos, he faces off against Kane. Their battle is tense and emotional, two former friends now on opposite sides. But before the fight can end, a new player enters the scene, a mysterious bounty hunter called Mr. Nobody. Armed with a high-powered rifle and accompanied by his loyal dog, Mr. Nobody steps in and lets John escape, deciding the bounty isn't high enough. As the dust settles, tragedy strikes. Koji, determined to protect John, confronts Kane in a one-on-one duel. Despite Koji's courage, Kane, with regret in his heart, delivers the killing blow. Koji's daughter, Akira, watches in silent rage as her father falls. Kane spares her, knowing she'll come for him one day. John heads back to New York, where he meets Winston at Karen's grave. Winston, consumed by grief and anger, proposes a daring plan: challenge the Marquis to a duel under the High Table's ancient rules. If John wins, he'll finally be free. But to issue the challenge, John needs to be part of a crime family. This takes him to Berlin, where he reconnects with the Ruska Roma syndicate. His adoptive sister, Katia, agrees to reinstate him, but only if he completes a deadly task: kill Killa Harkan, a grotesque High Table member responsible for their father's death. Killa sets an elaborate trap for John in his nightclub. The setting is pure chaos: flashing lights, pounding music, and a sea of henchmen standing between John and his target. John fights through them all, using everything from guns to fists to survive. Killa, massive and overconfident, thinks he has the upper hand, but John delivers a brutal, final blow, killing him and securing his place back in the family. With his status restored, John issues his challenge to the Marquis. The duel is set, pistols at dawn, on the steps of Sacré-Cœur in Paris. But the Marquis has no intention of letting John arrive alive. He places a $26 million bounty on John's head, drawing every assassin in the city into the hunt. What follows is one of the most intense sequences of the film. John battles his way through the streets of Paris, evading killers at every turn. Cars crash, bullets fly, and bodies fall as John proves, once again, why he's the most dangerous man alive. At one point, Mr. Nobody joins the chase but has a change of heart when John saves his dog from being killed. In a rare act of mercy, Mr. Nobody decides to help John instead. As dawn approaches, John fights his way up the iconic Rue Foyetier, a staircase swarming with assassins. After a relentless battle, he finally reaches the summit, bloodied but determined. The duel begins. John faces off against Kane in a deadly game of precision and endurance. They exchange shots, each round leaving them more battered and broken. In a shocking twist, John allows himself to be severely wounded, baiting the Marquis into taking Kane's place. The Marquis, arrogant and smug, steps in to finish the job. But John still has one bullet left. In a single, decisive moment, he fires, killing the Marquis and ending the duel. The Harbinger, the High Table's emissary, declares John the winner. He is finally free, as are Kane and his daughter. Winston is reinstated as the manager of the Continental, which the High Table agrees to rebuild, but John pays a heavy price. Wounded and exhausted, he collapses on the steps of Sacre Coeur. His thoughts drift to his wife, Helen, as he takes what appears to be his final breath. Back in New York, Winston and the Bowery King stand before a gravestone bearing John's name, yet, the story doesn't end there. In a post-credits scene, we see Kane returning to Paris to reunite with his daughter. But vengeance isn't far behind. Akira, burning with rage over her father's death, approaches with blade in hand. The cycle of violence continues.